I would wonder if it's a bit of a coin flip. Is if ICE will? It definitely looks like it will be. I mean, if I were to guess, I don't see why the AGEM members wouldn't vote to postpone it. They obviously they want to play it safe, and they don't have the same financial incentives as Clarion has to keep the date, so to say. But let's say if they do decide to vote to recommend to postpone the show, the question is again like how will what options do Clarion have for new dates in April, May, June, July, and so on?
Well, I think it's also you've got to think about 2023 because you don't want sales necessarily affecting 2023. Because if you have it too close to 2023, then you may fall short of revenue for 2023 shows because people are like, oh, already done a show. So it's a fine balance, I think, between everything that's going on. My gut says they'll probably continue with February, but again, I'm no longer there, so I don't know what the powers have been saying. So maybe we can get one of them on the show, or certainly listen to the webinar tomorrow. They'll have a much clearer idea as to what their intentions are. But it's definitely an interesting time over the next 30 days. I'd say is going to be crucial for.
It must have a knock on for everyone because, like, not for you guys on sport, but Pierre and Rory, you know, yours show New York March. It's not long after. I mean, have you guys thought about sort of contingency there if it needs to move? Again, sorry to put you on the spot. It's just we're kind of planning at the moment as well all these events, and it's all getting thrown up in the air at the moment.
I think it's sensible at the moment to always be planning that. So yes, we are talking to the convene at the moment, just in case. You know, we just got to keep an eye on what's going on because this could blow over Christmas. It could just be a very small hindrance to everything, and everything goes back to normal. But you know, equally, it might not. So yeah, we need, and then you're into that realm of fighting for, you know, as we know, the calendars are packed. So you've got to fight for those dates that are available, both in your venues but also throughout the iGaming industry as well. So, and obviously, if they go to March, then well, we probably need to move. I'd say
it goes into like I think a bigger discussion that we had a couple of months ago when we were planning our strategy for iGaming Next events in 2022 and beyond, and we were talking about like what are our long-term vision for our events in general, and something we spoke about back then was like. Even though the feeling is that we are very much past the pandemic, or at least until a couple of weeks ago, it's easy to forget that we are still in the middle of a very touch and go situation where a new variant can come at any time. And we said basically that rather than trying to build really big shows in the next couple of years, which probably will still be dragging on with this pandemic for the next couple of years. So rather than trying to build really big shows, so like expand in numbers, why don't we try to build more boutique style shows instead that are smaller and more agile? So if we need to move a show like 1 or 2 months, like it doesn't really weigh the organization down, and also for the sake of our partners and delegates, for our partners, for example, like building a catalog of partnerships that partners can commit to on short notice, because it's difficult to plan an event at the moment, like 6-9 months in advance, because we just don't know what is going to happen in 6 or 9 months. This situation is quite evident of that. So I think from our point of view, it's like we see others that are trying to up their numbers or trying to do bigger and bigger events, and I think it's a mistake in this in this time, and we should instead focus on trying to bring value with like smaller boutique events that are more agile and can be easier to lift, both from like a delegate point of view and from a sponsorship point of view, because I mean it's difficult as an event company to plan the next 12 months, because you might have to cancel some shows, or you might have to postpone some shows, and the bigger the show, the more difficult it is to make any major changes to it. And so that's the let's say the positive thing for us with our New York event is that it's a quite small show. It's like 600 delegates, and the partnerships doesn't have to entail this like 4 month process of building a stand and committing to massive cost and all of these things. It's very much a very quick like 360 turnkey solution kind of thing. And if we end up having to push the show like 1 or 2 months, it shouldn't really affect our organization and our partners and delegates that much, basically. So we'll just have to wait and see what happens. I think in the next couple of weeks, it will be more evident kind of what how this is all going to play out. Just like when Delta variant started spreading, it was a lot of uncertainty, and then it kind of became more clear as to what restrictions there will be and how severe the strain will be, because I guess it's still a little bit ambiguous how severe the new variant is. The indications right now is that it's a milder variant of COVID, but it spreads much faster, and the protection from the vaccines seems to be much lower as well. So how is that going to impact the different restrictions that we have at the moment? Jake, I can see that you're working on.
Yeah, I just got a little news ping on my phone as well, saying that France has just banned all non-essential travel to Britain, which obviously, I know a fair amount of delegates and exhibitors come in from France for ice and things like that. So I wonder how long that is going to be in place for.
Yeah, that's a good question. And like I said, it's just the planning phase, because it's like the decision making is happening right now for massive show like ice. So like it's like the cutoff period is like right now, whether to decide to exhibit or visit the event. And that's the issue.
It's the shipping of all. It's only from America. It's the shipping of all that equipment. That's what they're worried about, which is why I think they raised it in the AGM call on Tuesday. So I think it's slowly getting to that crux point when they need to start shipping stuff over. So they may have a decision making.
Yeah, we'll have to wait and see. Katie, by the way, good morning to you. And I noticed earlier that you wanted to chip in here as well. What's your thoughts here in general?
Hi, good morning from Sweden. No, I just noticed that the Karolina event did the press release.
Let's see. I'm not sure if it's only me, but I lost Katie for a moment. Is it only me?
No, we lost her. It's me as well.
We lost her, I think.
Okay. We'll return to Katie when she's back online here. In the meantime, I want to say good morning to Bogdan as well. How are you this morning, and any thoughts from your end?
Hi, Pierre. Hello, everyone. Well, I'm just going to be pretty shortly here because I'm having a scheduled meeting, but I'm listening carefully to the topic brought into the table. And I think we are going to face some restrictions because of this new variant of COVID. So just looking pretty much forward to see if ICE will somehow not be a small event this next year because of that. Because I still remember the one just prior the COVID era which we live on right now, and already there was quite a lot of missing people in the show, especially on the stands from the Asian guys. But I think right now we're going to see some missing persons from Europe, and that's what the companies and the friends I spoke to, they also are quite vocal, and they are just simply wondering if there will be possible to go to London. So it's a big question mark. So we'll see how that develops.
Absolutely, Bogdan. And I noticed that in 2019 as well, when it was just at the beginning of the pandemic, obviously, slightly less people. Jan, good morning to you as well. I mean, as an exhibitor in Dauphina, what's your guys' thoughts at the moment on the upcoming conferences here? How do you, as an exhibitor, have the discussion right now around ICE and other shows?
Hello, everybody. Good morning. We are well known for, let's say, putting maximum effort into some marketing and some, let's say, entertainment at the expo, and we feel always disappointed when we put a lot of effort, planning, resources into creating something unique, and then these, let's say, external circumstances change it. So at this moment, even though all these negative news are coming in, the influence of the American exhibitors and all of that, we still acting as ICE is happening. We still preparing everything. And worst case scenario is gonna cost us some additional money, but if it's postponed, then we're gonna act like ICE is still number one priority for us. It's still, let's say, a landmark show. Everybody, if you talk to people who are outsiders, if you talk to people who are not that deep into the business, like I don't know, like carpet suppliers or chair suppliers, they still will know about ICE. They will not know that there is Sigma or some smaller event, but they will know about ICE. So this is something that we as an industry should try to keep in some form or another, and maybe show support to Clarion that we still want this event to go forward. But on the other hand, if we're gonna face more delays, more changes, and it's not gonna be handled completely professionally, then only after that we should start looking for some alternatives. The alternatives may be smaller shows. The alternatives may be less, like these huge stands that you need for the shows to pay the bills. This may not be an option if we're gonna have these changes every month, every 2 weeks. If this is the new status quo we're living in. So it's still a question, but from now on, like as an exhibitor that really enjoys the shows, and we believe that the shows bring the best value, not paid ads online, not paid databases. The shows are the thing that makes business and makes your brand. So we still support this.
Good to hear, John. And obviously, as the industry needs to support the ecosystem and help the organizers in order to continue to help create business within the iGaming industry. So I understand your point as well. Karolina, good morning to you. How are you doing? Where are you at the moment? And how are you feeling after the SBC Awards and the hangovers? And of course, what's your thoughts around ICE Now 22 potentially being postponed into a later month?
Good morning. I'm in London. SBC was great. No major hangovers on my side. I did get sick though. I don't think it's COVID because I just had it recently, but I did send for a test yesterday. Not at SBC. I mean, I must have just got a cold from my child from the nursery a couple of days before. But not feeling my best today. When it comes to ICE, I mean, I'm in a fortunate position where it doesn't really make a difference to me whether it happens or not, because I'm based in London, so I don't need to make travel arrangements, and we were not planning to exhibit, and most of our conversations with potential clients still happen in person, over lunches, over Zoom. So ICE isn't of particular importance to my business. Obviously, it would be great if it happened. Currently, with the sentiment in UK, I think even if it happens, it will be very poorly attended. I mean, there is this, day 2 test and pre-departure test, and it's not it's not big expenses to be added to it. But when you're a company and you do need to add £100 per person for testing, and then you also need to take in consideration the insurance policy. What happens if people do get sick, and if they do test positive in a different country before they leave to their own, and who pays for their hotel at a peak time in London. And I think this is what people forget when it comes to corporate policies, that it's not just about whether people are going to go to events or not, but it's also what kind of protection you're going to give them when they do go and they might get stuck. So I think that might make ICE something people won't send groups to. So I would think I would think it would be a good decision to move it to April, May, with a bigger chance of success. I see it very, unlikely to be successful. At the same time, there is a potential for ICE to be a little bit more like Vegas conference was, where I've heard for people, but that even though there was half of the normal attendance and the show was pretty empty, when it comes to business opportunities and networking, it was very intimate and then less hectic. Because at ICE, for many operators, it's usually this crazy hectic schedule, and a chase where you just go to 3 dinners every night and try to meet everyone, and you barely have a moment to just eat lunch or sit on your bum anywhere. So I think maybe this would make it into a bit more relaxed atmosphere, where you just actually have one dinner where you can give your full attention and spend some time with people and network properly, as it was in Vegas. Yeah, we'll see. I mean, I'm terrified seeing these all restrictions and travel bans coming in. I'm a total opposer. I feel this doesn't do anything good to anyone. So I might just finish my opinions there, because it just frustrates me to hell.
Yep, I can definitely relate to that. Traveling to the US on Sunday, and I need to ensure to get the PCR test done 24 hours before, which is proving super difficult because I have to do it in the afternoon on Saturday, and no one is really delivering results the same day. And Sundays they don't deliver at all. So, it's these additional just hurdles in order to just travel. But
I have
yeah,
to
it
say,
is what it is at the moment.
UK make it pretty easy, because I'm also going away over Christmas to Italy, hopefully. I mean, I don't know if it's going to happen, but we're going skiing, and we were in the same boat of how are we going to find a place to test on the 25th to get a result on the 26th. But and also, you have to travel with a train from a small skiing city to get the test done before coming back to UK. But now UK introduced these test packages that are just £19, and it's a test at home kit that you can take with you to a different country, and you just basically do the test at home, and you get your results, and you upload it into an app. I mean, the accuracy of this is questionable. I don't believe in it at all. I don't believe in the effectiveness of this at all. But at least, I mean, if it's the rule and it's convenient, then I can live with that. If I had to drive for 100 kilometers to Trento from where I'm skiing to get a test, that would really make me mad, because I just don't get the point.
Yeah, interesting how the world is adapting. Nico, I saw that you were flashing your mic here. Anything to add?
Yeah, I had pretty much the same conversation with Sam from Terrapin, that he was pretty happy that actually WGS happened, because due to travel bans, etc., this was still in doubt until it actually happened. And I also had a conversation with Ras during the SBC Awards. He specifically did not even approach anyone outside from the UK due to all the changing travel bans, etc., and all the obstacles which touching down in the UK with the PCR test, etc. They need to overcome. So for sure, I don't see ICE happening in February. And as James already pointed out, the restrictions will even get tighter within a couple of days. There are rumors going around already here in London. So that's why we specifically just grabbed the chance to just, meet and greet people in person, which we did not do for at least 2 years. Yeah, it's crazy times, and just see how it actually works out. But from a kind of exhibitor perspective, I don't even know how you can plan 2022 if people are in doubts if a exhibition or an award will happen within the next week. It's crazy.
Yeah, it's not going to get better before it gets worse. That's very much the feeling I'm getting as well. Robert, good morning to you as well. And I mean, as an exhibitor as well, Hölle Games as a B2B supplier, how do you plan 2022?
Hi, good morning. Yeah, we're a little bit too young to be able to be booked into ICE 2022, but we are looking at 2023 because we just started producing revenue in like, April, May, and then everything was booked out already for ICE. But it's I think previously the rationale, at least in my old company and older companies, for having a stand at ICE was always, well, even if we don't make any new business, we get to meet 60 of our clients, and it's cheaper to have a stand and be in one location than flying to other clients and meet them. And the reality for me was always, well, and it changed. The reality changed in the last year really a lot because everybody got so used to doing elaborate video chats. So I'm saying, well, I'm giving you 12 and a half minutes at ICE of my attention versus 45, 60 minutes in an elaborate video call. It makes the business case of going to this conference to meet existing clients weaker. And I think a conference in the future can win a lot more business. I think which sort of focuses on the randomness because we all like the randomness of getting introduced to other people and meeting somebody you should meet and that other person knows that, or just running into people that we all enjoy and like. But and it was all on the basis, I think, and that's crumbling a little bit. That you say, well, I'm going to ICE because I'm meeting all these people I know already, so it pays for itself, sort of, because I don't need to travel to Malta, to all these places in UK and everywhere because everybody meets there. So I think independent of Corona, really, Corona just accelerated it. The question mark is, does something like a monster conference like ICE have a future if a lot of companies realize, well, it makes, it's good to meet people in person, of course, always. But what's better, 12 minutes in person or 60 minutes undivided attention via, video chat?
I remember that conversation being really hot at the start of the pandemic, and it was very much a question mark if the world has now moved on from these kind of in-person conferences, and we're not going to be used to taking Zoom calls. But I must counter that part with. Obviously, I'm a bit biased as a conference organizer myself, but I think that definitely Sigma this year and SBC in North America this year proved that there is absolutely a scope for in-person conferences, and I've been thinking deeply about this as well. And I think that the Zoom calls are great because you can meet a lot of people on a daily basis rather than having to take the car to the office next door and so on. I certainly have made a lot of new friendships through COVID and through Zoom calls, like Karolina and Nico here in this room being two people of them, of course. But the powerful thing is that you solidify those friendships in person, and meeting Nico, meeting Karolina in person, for example, is something that you look forward to after striking up these friendships digitally. At least me. I don't know about you, Nico. Maybe
Yeah, me too.
maybe it's the
Mutual.
opposite. But
Same.
okay. Thank you. Thank God. And so I think the answer to that, Robert, is that I think it's already been proven, from my perspective at least, that the shows definitely have a place. And I like your argument that it's the randomness of the conferences in person that gives a lot of value, because walking around, WGS, for example, last week at Barcelona, you come to that conference and you know a couple of people and so on, but then at the end of the conference so many more people, and I think that's where the value lies, is these like random conversations by the bar, or like random introductions. Oh, you are doing that, like that's exactly what we are looking for. And me and Rory, my coworker in SPC North America, we had like several of these like random encounters during SPC North America that is like pretty much transforming our business, and it's difficult to find that opportunity online. At least, I don't know, at least it's like I guess that's the frame of mind you're in when you're at the conference. It's like you're there and very open to meet new people. And when you sit by the computer, you may not be in the same frame of mind. Like then you're in the frame of mind of like looking at the emails and going through a to-do list. And it's just a different frame of mind, I guess. I don't know if that makes sense to you.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I think it's just like, you have this, ICE is an institution, it's a conference and also an institution to a degree, and it's based on certain sort of, reasons to go. I'm just saying, I believe some reasons became weaker and other reasons maybe are stronger. Like obviously meeting people you met online, meet them in real life, that's great. But I'm just questioning a little bit, well, somebody you know really, really well already, because you met that person already in real life. One or two times in the past, or like really, really well is the wrong statement, but like you know your client well enough, and the client knows you well enough that you say, well, I feel like a 60-minute Skype is in that scenario better than what we all do, or if you're understaffed or regular staff, let's say that you have so many meetings, and this happened to me the last few years at ICE, that I just felt bad of not giving the people the attention they deserve, really. So I think it's just a sort of the reasons shift a little bit for going, and I would love to see more of that randomness, yeah. Because also when you're tied down with all these 60 meetings with existing business and existing relationships and everything, where both parties maybe say, yeah, that was good, 12, 15, 20 minutes, but how necessary is it, and could we alter the shape of conferences in the future more geared toward randomness? I think that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, and that's a total fair point, and I think that's the argument for smaller shows like WGS, because that show is all about the randomness, right? Like you go there and it's all about just meeting new people in a much more intimate setting, and that's often where the like serious business is formed. It's through this like informal meetings and so on. So yeah, that I agree with as well, Robert, and I think. The future, definitely for many reasons, I think, belongs to more targeted and smaller boutique shows. But that's my own biased opinion, of course. Shall we move on, perhaps? It's really interesting to talk to this topic, but shall we move on a little bit, Nico? Do you think to kind of jump over to a few interesting subjects of last week? I know that there's been a lot of drama in the industry. There's been some interesting movements. What do you say, Nico? Shall we take one or two of the most interesting news stories?
Yeah, sure we can. So I'd like to just jump into the DraftKings report for the fiscal year of 2020, where they reported actually spending 500 million in marketing and having wait, just let me look this up, please. The revenue was 644 million in 2020 compared to the 432 million in 2019. And the DraftKings stock went up last week, Friday, when they published this, by 2.4%. If you just remember, DraftKings is a topic we always kind of touch down with. Okay, is the bubble about to burst? They spend so much money on their marketing. Thing is, it will take a couple of years until this bubble will possibly burst, because within the last ending fiscal year, they have $1.8 billion in cash and no debts at all. So they can for sure stand a loss. Last year they had like an EBITDA loss of roughly 400 million adjusted for EBITDA. So, and this is just amazing how well funded this company actually is. And I'm pretty sure, Pierre, you also have your take on this one. As you already pointed out within the chat, we have what DraftKings is already projecting, which verticals they want to tackle. If you want to ride us there a little.
Yes, I'll be happy to. And also, Katie, it'd be interesting to hear your thoughts here, obviously, since you are specialized in the US market. But my 2 cents, I mean, everyone's talking about DraftKings. Is this a massive bubble that is accruing with the massive marketing spend, and seemingly they are sliding further and further away from any positive EBITDA results? But the interesting thing about DraftKings is, talking about diversification in the revenue streams from a European perspective, the European operators very often talk about geographical diversification in order to lower their risk profile, and alleviate further growth into the future. So this traditional Scandinavian operators, for example, like Betsson and Leo Vegas and Kindred, they diversified from being predominantly focus on the Scandinavian markets into becoming more globalized. Like Betsson is going into Africa, for example. Betsson is also heavy into Latin America. Kindred, as we all know, are trying their best to establish foothold in North America. Leo Vegas also announcing their introduction into the US market. But looking at DraftKings, they have decided against that geographical diversification. They are very much focused on growing their user base in the US and growing their brand in the US. But what they are looking to do instead is diversify into other verticals. So some of you might know that DraftKings, they diversified into the NFT space by launching the NFT marketplace Autograph. And according to DraftKings, what they are looking to do in 2022 and onwards is to launch several new products into several new verticals in order to diversify the organization and leverage the massive database and brand that they are building in order to create new revenue streams into other verticals. And that is the investment case for DraftKings. So they are saying, like, if you're looking at our marketing spend today and you think that we are only going to generate revenue from sports betting and online casino, then of course the investment case is a bit on shaky grounds. But if you consider that we have much bigger plans and we want to create new revenue stream in other areas, then the investment case will become much more clear to you once we launch these products in 2022. But on the other hand, it's still not clear what those products will be. And even though the NFT space is crazy hot right now, we know that the NFT space is very much built on hype cycles. And at the moment, the NFT hype cycle is nearing its end by the likes of it, as these massive valuations on NFTs have been declining in the last couple of months. And so, for example, a CryptoPunk, which is the most famous NFTs, they were peaking at a floor price of like $450,000, and the floor price is at the moment is something like $230,000. So it kind of halved in the last couple of months, and so we never know if that is going to continue down or if the hype cycle is going to restart again. So anyway, that is kind of the investment case that DraftKings is trying to make. But Katie, I don't know. I'd love to hear your thoughts on DraftKings in general here, and obviously working at one of the competitors, Hard Rock. Like, how do you view DraftKings and their future? Or perhaps I got a message from Katie that her internet is a bit subpar at the moment. But Jake, let's jump over to you. Any thoughts on your end?
Yeah, sure. I mean, you spoke about hype cycles in terms of NFTs, but you could argue that DraftKings share price as it is effectively a hype cycle sort of perpetuated by these disruptive technologies that they're obviously pledging to invest in. You look at the sort of executive board on Twitter all have NFT profile pictures, and they are clearly pushing that agenda. I just wonder how much revenue is actually generated from those kind of projects right now. I can't imagine it's a very high percentage, if any at all, compared to obviously DFS and and sports betting. Obviously, you said like they're pursuing growth in different verticals rather than international growth, and I think the examples we used of Betson and Kindred, like obviously they're much more mature businesses operating in much more mature markets. So, for example, when growth dries up in the Nordics or in Western Europe, like Betson pulling out of the UK, for example, because it's just too hard to make an impact there, they have to look towards LATAM or Eastern Europe and these sort of less mature markets to find gains effectively, whereas DraftKings is in the best possible position because the most gains to be found right now are in the US, and they have arguably the strongest brand in the US. So I don't think we'll see them looking at international expansion at all unless, like Jason Robbins said, it's basically done and dusted by somebody else, which is why they're after Entain, which is obviously globally has a massive footprint. And I think they would only look to do a deal like that if it was the finished package already, basically.
You never know what the Elon Musk of the iGaming industry, Jason Roberts, will say next on Twitter. So let's wait and see. I thought it was also interesting, Jake. I mean, you mentioned that the DraftKings brand is arguably the most visible at the moment, and it's something, Nico, you mentioned in your bullet points today that DraftKings is the most visible legal betting brand in the US. However, they have only 23.1% of overall revenue, while FanDuel has 36.8% of the overall revenue. And that is kind of alluding to the fact, again, going back to the original point, that FanDuel seems to be spending their marketing dollar much more targeted than and effective than DraftKings. But on the other hand, again, then going back to the original point, is that DraftKings might have a much bigger, more ambitious plan, and they are spending this enormous amount of marketing dollars in order to become that more reputable and stronger brand for potential launch into other verticals. So I just thought that was quite interesting that DraftKings is spending the most cash, but it's actually FanDuel who has considerably more revenue within the US market. Nico, is that something you can expand on as well, that bullet point, by the way? I thought that was quite interesting.
Yeah, so just touching down on what Jake has just said, we already see a movement from the big two of FanDuel and DraftKings. As FanDuel, they are entering the market of Brazil with their Grupo Globo Fantasy Sports partnership, and I'm pretty sure we will just see further markets being tackled by these two heavyweights besides the US. And we should never forget that we are seeing on a monthly basis record-breaking numbers after record-breaking numbers being reported from each and every state which either has opened up or is about to being open to sports betting. And as of now, DraftKings, they operate in 12 states in the US, which represent roughly 25% of the overall US population, and they already have 8 million registered customers, and they only operate in one state profitable, which is New Jersey. So guess what will happen as soon as New York will open up, as soon as we will be facing March Madness. So it's all crazy. And the numbers you just pointed out, it's a survey which has done by YouGov, and they kind of had a look at a sample of roughly 1,200 people, which company they recognize. And the brand of DraftKings was recalled by roughly 40% of this 1,200 people, while FanDuel ads had been seen by 30%. So as you already pointed out, this is this just indicates how wisely, obviously, DraftKings potentially just spends their money. And the thing is, and this is also what Daniel Gretzer, who's having his breakfast, and fingers crossed he will at least have a decent breakfast like the eggs Benedict with Pierre had during the WGS, which I still picture, and I really, really like it, still admire this one, because with the DFS, you can tackle or kind of advertise your target group already by the age of 18, while sports betting, the age is 21. So you have at least 3 years to get your users used to the overall brand. And this is a position which FanDuel and DraftKings just have. And as said, if you just remember, they have at least $1.8 billion in cash in the bank or wherever, and they can spend big. And I'm pretty sure, first of all, they will tackle market by market, and the potential in the US and the appetite for sports betting is just huge. And as soon as we will see even more states being opened up, I'm pretty sure, first of all, they will tackle the US and then going to all the Latin American markets as well. And this will be thrilling to see if we might see a paradigm shift from a DVS and sports betting company background, entering more and more verticals, and possibly, as Pierre has pointed out already a couple of weeks ago, the Amazon for sports betting. This will be thrilling to.
Just to point out as well that DraftKings is actually hosting its first ever Twitter space at 6 p.m. Eastern time. So a little while from now. I think it's only 5 a.m. or something in the States at the moment. But yeah, they're basically going to be discussing the launch of the NFT marketplace and Web 3.0 and stuff, with Matt Carlish is going to be hosting it. I think they're co-founder and North American president. So that's going to be one worth tuning into, I would have thought.
That's super interesting, JK. So 6 p.m. Eastern, that would be midnight CET or 11 p.m. UK time. That's really interesting.
Yep. Have some coffee, stay up late and tune into that one, I would.
Yeah, absolutely. Interesting discussions overall now how big organizations like DraftKings, like multi-billion organizations, are facing this paradigm shift that will be Web 3, which is basically the internet is kind of evolving into a more decentralized nature, so to say. I'm really excited to see how that space will turn out. Obviously, Facebook has already taken their stance and they're diving headfirst into a Web 3 future. And I know that DraftKings, obviously, Jason Robbins and the guys are massive fans of the NFT and blockchain and decentralized space. So it will be very interesting to hear. It's something that everyone should pay attention to at the moment is Web 3. It's basically the decentralized nature that blockchain technology will bring to the internet. Definitely want to watch. Nico, back to you again. We have another 10 minutes. What do you say? Shall we jump into a different, or before we do that, perhaps Robert, Jan, or James would like to chime in here as well on DraftKings overall. We've seen DraftKings losing 55% of the share value in the last couple of months. Could it be perhaps that it's a good time at the moment to buy into DraftKings? However, they are still valued at $11 billion, so it's an argument that can be made on both sides, I guess. But is there any final words here on this topic?
I just want to point out one very interesting thing. Because I'm not that deep into the US market, but I like to follow the trends. So one thing is that the US operators value the players differently, and we all keep talking about how they overspend on marketing. And recently, I believe it was the CEO of DraftKings made a small post about players not using our promotions as we intended, something along these lines. Basically, in my eyes, it's like they're being abused in a big way. And this is something to look at because it may show some inexperience or something that, we already went through these cycles of cheaters, of, multi-accounting, of fake IDs, which I believe in the US is much easier to fake ID or a person than in Europe, but I may be wrong. But it's just my feeling that their system is not that bureaucratic and tough as in Europe. So this in my eyes should point out that there are some serious gaps in the operation. On the other hand, as you mentioned, the launch of NFTs is something that is pointing out that they're gonna go in a different direction. But if you look at all the crypto casinos that are working on the, let's say, gray area, all of these crypto casinos basically came up with this, let's say, promotion for players to create their own NFT or to partner up with some NFT creators and to work it inside their ecosystem. So it's not something new, but it's something to be achieved in a, well, let's say, very regulated market, which I think that's the main challenge for DraftKings at the moment. So this is just like two things that I noticed, but I don't know how they fit into the bigger picture, and what the guys are solving in the boardroom may be completely different from what is now being publicly discussed.
Interesting, Jan. Definitely a space to look out for, and I agree with you fully with your point as well there. Nico, we have a request for the last topic of today. Do you want to guess what it is?
Evolution, I guess.
No, it's not
Because we
evolution. It's not evolution. Take a second
okay.
guess.
Okay, then it might be, as Katie already unmuted herself, it's the probably Hard Rock agrees to purchase the Mirage from the MGM Resorts
No,
for.
no, wrong. Right, you have a third and final chance. What's the biggest drama of the industry and in the last year happened this week?
Oh my gosh. Now you're putting me into a quite interesting position, right? So sorry. I will literally save my last wish for the next Clubhouse session, right? So just
Okay. I can fill you in then. It's the drama around play up and Dr. Laila Mintas, of course.
Okay, yeah, there you go.
So have you summarized any points on this story, or shall I?
Just the floor is yours, Pierre. The floor is yours.
All right. We're gonna use this last 6 minutes of today to jump into what may be the biggest drama of the iGaming industry this year. Really, it's essentially a press release that was released the other day here by the US gaming operator PlayUp, which is, or US focused basically, the PlayUp, which basically released a statement saying that they had filed for a restraining order against their US CEO, Dr. Laila Mintas, with some really, I mean, what would you say, like fiery, colorful allegations against Dr. Laila Mintas, essentially accusing her of ruining the impending acquisition by FTX, which is, I believe, a cryptocurrency exchange. So it's a cryptocurrency exchange that were very close to acquiring PlayUp as a business. It was a 450 million euro deal that basically it didn't happen at the end. And the allegation from PlayUp is essentially that the US CEO, Dr. Laila Mintas, essentially trashed the deal. What would you say? I don't know how to call it, but basically calling up FTX and saying that there were systematic issues within the organization. There were some basically hidden numbers that they hadn't disclosed, and so basically FTX got cold feet and withdrew from this acquisition, and because of that, allegedly, then PlayUp basically filed for this restraining order against Dr. Laila Mintas to avoid further damage to the company. And they were very open in the press release that went out, basically detailing that Dr. Laila Mintas had been negotiating for a new 2-year contract, and she wanted to become the global CEO. She wanted to increase her equity stake within the company, and she wanted to double her salary. And when these requests were denied, then essentially Dr. Mintas threatened to burn PlayUp to the ground and cause irreparable damage to the company. Now, as we all know, as grown human beings, there is always two sides to each story, and I think it's really important when it's such fiery and colorful allegations to not forget that we should never listen to just one side of the story. And there was a press release that was released by Dr. Mintas, who essentially denies all of these allegations, saying that why would she ruin this deal when she was a major shareholder in the organization already, and she had already invested a massive amount of her personal savings into the company. So essentially, by ruining this acquisition by FTX, it would also personally affect her negatively. So obviously, she didn't really have any form of reason to hinder this deal to happen. So it's word against word here, obviously, but the allegations are still very serious, and there is going to be a hearing, I believe, tomorrow in the Australian courts where more evidence will be submitted, and I don't know if that is going to be if that is going to be made public or not, but it puts whatever the truth is, it puts PlayUp in a really bad position, and again, the allegations were quite serious in that as well. Dr. Mintas had been threatening to reveal some like regulatory issues with PlayUp, and it just basically puts the brand in a really bad light. And obviously, it's whatever the truth is here. It seems to be it seems to put the company in a pretty bleak future, so to say. I don't know if there's any other comments here from the panel on this story as well, as it was quite fiery. Nico, I don't know if you have anything to add here.
So we just discussed this in the WhatsApp group as well. You know, when you just think about, okay, increasing the salary by 100% to 1 million a year, and as well as increasing the shareholding up to a 15%, and now it comes non-dilutable stake. So there has been quite a lot on the line. If I'm not mistaken, I just met her once when she was still working for Sportradar, because she was leading their US business, and then she became the CEO of PlayUp. Yeah, it's interesting, and for sure. Usually, you know, you're like, okay, there ain't no bad publicity. It's all good just being in the news. But for sure, this kind of news and this controversy ain't good for either Layla or PlayUp. So it's crazy, a little bit. Again, crazy times we're facing, to be honest.
Yeah, wow, and it's such a sad situation to be in, because you know, imagine from Dr. Mintal's side, like if these allegations would be not true, you know, the story has already come out, like it's already made the circles in news and in media and so on, and you know, this reputable damage in such a small niche industry is not going to be forgotten, you know, and sometimes a rumor or a false story can become the truth. You know, it has a way to be repeated so many times that it's truth. You know, and difficult in the situation Dr. Mintas is in, if that would be the case, to ever rectify a situation like this. On the other hand, if the story is true, then from PlayUp point of view, of course, it's nearly impossible to rectify their reputation, because obviously they are intertwined with this story, of course, as well. And you know, having lost such a major opportunity to to be acquired by FTS at a 450 million euro valuation, it can even put doubts into the future of the organization, because the US facing operators are obviously dependent on cash flow, and if you have this type of drama in the boardroom, then it's not impossible that investors will get cold feet as well. So as you pointed out, Nico, whatever the truth is, it's irreparable damage on both ends, really. So but we will continue following this story, of course, and we'll see how it develops. So it's been a great hour, like always, I must say, Nico, and I want to thank you as well, again, for putting the coverage together for like the 48th week or something like that in a row. And at the same time, Katie, John, Robert, thank you guys as well for always supporting these channels. And we had another topic that we were meant to discuss today, but I guess we can push this to next week, and it's actually this emerging trend of social casino and building a community. And I think it was quite interesting to have a discussion around, like, how do you build a community? Especially because we as an industry have never had to face these questions before. And we had some quite interesting discussions in the podcast about this very topic yesterday on who is going to win the social casino future. And then connection to that, like, how do you actually build a community that is self-sustaining? But I think we can push that conversation to next week. And for those of you guys in the audience, and for those of you guys on the stage, feel free to start putting your thinking hat on already now, and come up with your best ideas for how to build a community, because that's going to be the main point next week. But until then, I want to wish you all a great week ahead. For those of you guys who are going on vacation, I wish you guys a really nice and comfortable and relaxed vacation. Try to put your email inboxes to the side and enjoy time with family. So with that, I'll see you here next week, and take care of each other, and Merry Christmas.
Likewise.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye bye.